Welcome to my channel. My name is Laura and I'm here to provide a cosy corner of the internet where we hang out and talk about books and maybe even go for a coffee if we get a chance. My favourite genre to read is horror, and I also love folklore, so those are the books that you will most typically see me talk about on this channel. But of course, all books are welcome and we do dabble into a lot of different genres. However, today I wanted to talk about some folklore with you. As I'm recording this, it is Wednesday the 11th of February. Valentine's Day is on Saturday, which is of course February the 14th. And something that I love to do is look into local customs and traditions when it comes to folklore in my area, which is Derbyshire in the UK. I'm a Derbyshire lass, born and bred, and we love ourselves a little folk custom around here. To name but a few, we have the well dressings. We like to play Shrovetide football, which is a whole other video in itself. And we also have the Garland King in Castleton, which again is probably another video. However, today we are of course talking about Valentine's Day. I love myself a mooch in the charity shops, and something that I try to do as much as I can, and when I spot them, is to pick up books about local history, customs, folklore, ghost stories, the whole thing. And one of my favourite books on my shelf that I reference all the time and look for inspiration in all the time is this one. This is The Derbyshire Year by Elizabeth Eisenberg. I'm really sorry if that didn't focus. I can't tell because I should be wearing glasses, but the light reflects on them and it's quite distracting, so I'm not wearing them. So apologies if that didn't focus. I will show it to you later. But this is such a great little book. It's not very long at all, but I love to check this book throughout the year just to see what's happening and to see what to expect. And the book, of course, talks about Valentine's Day. Now, I wanted to use the books on my shelf as much as possible to research this, but I have dipped into the internet as well just to clarify a few points. And one of those points came up immediately. So I've tried to memorise my notes as much as I can, but I think the best thing for me to do is to just read from my notes. So it's going to look like someone trying to act out a play whilst they're reading from the script. But bear with me, okay? So, for example, the Derbyshire Year starts off by saying that although there were a number of saints called Valentine, none appears to have any connection with lovers. However, a quick search on the internet shows that there was indeed a Saint Valentine who had a connection to married couples. Let me gather my notes. Okay, so Saint Valentine was a 3rd century Roman saint. He was martyred and buried on February the 14th, which has been observed as the feast of Saint Valentine since at least the 8th century. Saint Valentine was associated with a tradition of courtly love and was also attributed to birds, which during the Middle Ages it was believed that birds mated during mid-February. So there is a connection with a saint there, and it's also thought that Valentine's Day could be the incorporation of a Christian festival with a Roman feast, which was called Lupercalia. Now, Lupercalia was celebrated on the 15th of February and was an ancient Roman festival to promote health, fertility, and to purify the city, which sounds lovely. However, it might have been a little more raucous than, first anticipated. So I went to the internet for more information on Lupercalia, and I found this paragraph on Britannica.com, and it says each Lupercalia began with the sacrifice by Luperci. I think Luperci were a special branch of priests where, Lupercalia was their whole thing. So these priests would gather and they would sacrifice goats and a dog, after which 2 of the Luperci were led to the altar. Their foreheads were touched with a bloody knife and the blood was wiped off with wool dipped in milk. The ritual required the 2 young men to laugh. Don't know why, but why not? The sacrificial feast followed, of course, after which the Luperci cut thongs from the skins of the sacrificial animals and ran in 2 bands around the Palatine Hill, striking with the thongs at any woman who came near them. A blow from the thong was supposed to render a woman fertile. Imagine being in the crowd and seeing these people running around naked with... Did it say that they were naked, or have I just assumed that they would be naked? I can't remember. Oh well. But yeah, just imagine being in the crowd and being like, hit me, hit me. Wild. The Romans knew how to party. So it's thought that Valentine's Day may be, an extension of that. I think that the Pope banned the Lupercalia festivities. But, people will always find a way to party. Oh, it also says here that Oliver Cromwell abolished Valentine's Day altogether as it was too irreligious and frivolous. What a party pooper. Have a little fun, Oliver. Let your hair down, mate. Do you think that's because Oliver didn't get any Valentine's cards? Just a thought. Oh, this is something that I missed out for you guys. So this book suggests that during Lupercalia there was a little tradition, ceremony kind of thing that involved, where is it? Young girls seeking a husband by putting their names in a love urn, and the boys would draw out a name and the couples would then be paired off, sometimes permanently, most oftentimes temporarily. And so it's thought that after Oliver Cromwell banned Valentine's Day, that tradition secretly continued. However, when I was on the internet, Wikipedia said that there's actually no evidence of this little ceremony taking place. So who knows what went down? Something that you may be more familiar with is peeling an apple. Now, what one would do, it does say in here that this is a thing in Derbyshire, but I'm sure that I've seen this around other places as well, is you would peel an apple and you would try and get the skin off all as one like long piece of peel. You would then throw the peel over your shoulder, and whatever initial it formed on the floor would be the initial of your future husband. It sounds pretty foolproof to me. Let me know if you give it a try. There's also another little ceremony, ritual, game mentioned in here, where it says that in the Peak District, slips of paper with boys' names on them were put into a hat or a boot, whatever's to hand, and well mixed. Each girl then drew a slip, noted the name, and put it back. This was done 3 times, and if a girl drew the same boy's name each time, it was a sign that she was certain to marry him before the next Valentine's Day. A year doesn't sound very long to, plan a wedding, just off the cuff as well. And the book then goes on to talk about the introduction of Valentine's Day cards, of course, which was introduced in the 18th century but was very popular by Victorian times and was actually a great way for shy men to propose, as, I suppose you could kind of do it not face to face. That would be too embarrassing. And it was also great if you were shy and wanted to confess your love, as you didn't have to sign it. Valentine's Day cards are anonymous. And it then goes on to talk about the introduction of the roses are red, violets are blue rhymes. Some of them, of course, were very sweet, and then others might have been a little bit naughty. I think it gives an example, actually, of a naughty one. I love you in blue, I love you in red, but best of all, I love you in bed. How crude. Valentine's Day isn't meant to be crude. It's supposed to be romantic and nice. Don't do that. But that's mostly what I found about Valentine's Day in Derbyshire. I did also have a little look in this book here. I received this book as a ARC copy, which is an advanced reader copy. This is from Manchester University Press, and it's called Folklore, A Journey Through the Past and Present. I absolutely love the cover of this book. Please tell me it's focusing. But this is by Owen Davis and Kerry Holbrook. And it talks about a little custom that made its way to Britain in the 2010s, which is putting love locks on a bridge. So you've probably seen this around. There's a lot of places that do it. But basically, you inscribe a padlock with the name of you and your love, and you will then attach this lock to the bridge thus lock in your loving place for all eternity. I think that you can also do this as a form of remembrance. So you could put the name of a loved one on there who's passed away. It can also be friendship. I'm sure that people put their pets on there. So, it's a very nice gesture. However, this caused some problems in the local town of Bakewell in Derbyshire. So in Bakewell, there is a bridge that goes over a weir. So love locking got really popular on this bridge in Bakewell, and it ended up causing a bit of an issue as there were so many locks on there that the bridge was getting pretty heavy, and the locks were actually threatening the structural integrity of the bridge. I think they were on about removing the locks at some point. I've got no idea if that happened. I really need to go and investigate. But yeah, just be mindful if you are love locking that, these are bridges and metal weighs a lot. So just something to be aware of, although it's a nice gesture. And I think that's basically it. I didn't want to keep you for too long. I haven't done a ton of research. I've only looked through 2 books on my shelf and done a little bit of internet searching. But I thought it would be nice to finish off with a book recommendation for Valentine's Day. I could talk about this book all day long. This is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I don't necessarily love Greek mythology retellings, so I was a little bit sceptical going into this book, but I had heard nothing but good things. I thought that I was going to have to DNF like a quarter of the way through. I really hit a wall with it, and I thought, this just isn't going to be for me. But then things went up a gear, and I thought, okay, I'm locked in. So this is, of course, a retelling of the story of Achilles, and in this book, Patroclus, apologies if that's not how you say it, I hear it said different every time. Achilles and Patroclus are lovers in this book, and it's so beautifully done. This book involves one of my most favourite intimate scenes in a book. It's so beautifully, thoughtfully and delicately done, and it just made me fall in love with these characters and want to follow their journey. Of course, eventually Achilles is called off to war and Patroclus goes with him, and it's just such a beautiful story of true love, of yearning, of sacrifice. I tried so hard not to cry at the end and to hold it all together. It's just such a beautiful story. Whether you love romance, whether you love Greek mythology, whether you don't, whether you couldn't care less about any of that stuff, but you love a great story, then this is perfect. And it's just the perfect book to settle down with on Valentine's Day. The weather is still horrible here, so I think that's going to be the Valentine's Day activity. I saw somewhere that apparently it's rained every day in the UK. So, somewhere at some point in the UK every day, it will have rained since the start of 2026. And hey, I love the rain. I'm a melancholic girly and I love me a rainy day. But even for me, that seems a little bit excessive, and I would like some sunshine now, please. So I think, there's only one thing to do, and that is to buy yourself a box of chocolates, get on the sofa with a drink of choice, and inhale a good book. And I highly recommend this one. I'm trying to switch up the structure of my videos a little bit. So I was trying to do like a vloggy video every week, and that's not going to work. My life is not that interesting, and I don't do a lot to vlog. So I think that in the instance where I'm not vlogging, I'm going to try and do a sit down and talk to you video, and then I will include some B-roll at the end to play us out. So I will just include a few clips from my week and from, recent days, etc. to play us out. So that's what I shall do now. I went to a makers market in Sheffield over the weekend, and they're great. They're called Endless Love Creative. I know that they do one in Newcastle as well, but obviously I go to the Sheffield one. And yeah, it was their spring makers market over the weekend, and it was great. Obviously it rained, so I got a little bit wet, but that won't stop me from having fun, okay? So I will include the clips from that now. And I will say thank you and goodbye. Please like, comment, subscribe so that you never miss any more cutting edge content from me. And I will hopefully see you very soon. Take care.